Greetings, brothers and sisters. Trendy number 25 on YouTube Trends. Beyonce, JayZ, Childish Gambino, and somebody's name who I can't pronounce in a new video, Mood Forever. And this is a whopper. I didn't watch the whole thing yet, but she has this, pretentious thing going on here, these sunglasses or whatever, and she's giving the Illuminati eye. But the lyrics and just the arrogance of the thing, right? Just whatever. I'm going to come back to this. I want to start with the other Queen Bee, Britney, and work my way back to Beyonce. But this is a doozy. And so Britney's fourth topless shot stirs fans' concern, right? Britney has been engaging in topless photos, and they're not really topless. What she does is she's not wearing a top, but she covers her bosoms with her hands, and apparently they're getting deleted on some social media sites, but she keeps on putting them back up. They're on Instagram, and it's for somebody who's trying to show they're not crazy, she's giving a lot of crazy. Remember when she referred to herself as Queen Bee? And all the Beyonce fans got mad at her because that's going to come back up, right? This idea where these, mediocre singer and dancers, right? They're good. They're not, the best, right? Are calling themselves queens, saying they're royal. And that's a whole thing I didn't get to later. If standing up for yourself burns a bridge, I have matches. We ride at dawn. Britney throwing it down. Bow, wow, wow, yippee, yo, yay, yippee, yay. I don't know what that's about. That's from that song, I don't know, a hip-hop song a while ago. When you're born to fly, you can't worry about bridges. What? I'm proud of you. Fly, Britney, fly. That's I Am Will from Will I Am. And so she's born to fly, according to him. You go, Glenn Coco. I'm not sure who that is. We ride at dawn. Jamie Lynn gonna need a boat. Is this about her sister? Speak up, Queen. Oh, baby, we ride with you. So, if that isn't crazy enough, then she says this. It's the little things, My favorite drink and the beach. In Maui. God, I love you all. All of her fans. Have a brilliant day, my friends. Psst. Check out the statue of the rare owl, white owl. I don't know where that statue would be in this picture. Maybe it's over here. There it is. And so, yeah, that's kind of creepy. Owls have so much significance. Of course, there's a hidden owl on the dollar bill. In that movie I just talked about. The movie I just talked about, Under the Silver Lake or something like that. And it's got a lot of symbolism and it admits a lot of things. It's just kind of creepy and just, it's hard to get through. It's way longer than it needs to be. But it talks about the owl on the back of the dollar bill. There's a tiny owl that they've printed on the dollar bill here. It's hidden in the corner, right? And so right up there, it's hidden in the corner here. And so... it's a kind of a not so well-known thing. Everyone thinks about the capstone, the pyramid. But owls, of course, there's the owl here at Bohemian Grove, right? There's this guy standing in front of the owl there, one of those famous people. I'm sure Joe Biden's been to Bohemian Grove, maybe even Trump's. And so they're doing the fire. They do a ritualistic sacrifice of a mock sacrifice. There's the owl there. Here's the altar where they do the sacrifice of a baby named Care. And it's supposed to be their conscience, right? For doing all the bad things they do. They sacrifice their conscience, the cremation of Care. And so the owl is very significant. Owls show up at, when there's reports of like UFOs and things like this, aliens, owls always seem to show up. The owl's a wonderful bird. I'm not, saying owls are bad or anything like that, but there is, stuff to do with owls. Anyway, psst, check out the statue of the rare white owl. I saw it this morning. Before I saw it, a beautiful little boy with blonde hair. Like, this sounds like totally like a sacrifice, right? A beautiful little boy with white blonde hair, the white blonde hair type, who was 2 years old, screamed at his mama because he wanted his drink with a straw. It was the most adorable thing ever because he reminded me of my boys when they were younger. And so that's Britney. And somebody's got their finger over the camera. I suppose that's her boyfriend. And there she is, always, doing anything she can do to strut around in a bikini. And there's the owl. And so, let's see what they say here. Kevini, I'm the finger in the camera. Yes, you are. It's Britney's beach. It looks like a guy's hand. I'm really digging the free Britney. This is a man arm. They're saying this is a man's hand. Looks, very well could be. Whose arm is this? Really, no one is wondering about her account. Everyone honestly thinks this is her. So happy for you. 2 days ago, free Britney. Anyways, the free Britney movement has become a disaster because Britney herself is, mentally unstable. And we'll see how this all plays out, but it probably won't end up well for Britney or the Britney lovers. Comically minimal ego stroking inside the Bumble takedown of a violent Capitol riot. So I read this Huffington Post article more thoroughly than I usually do. Andrew Taki was arrested for pepper spraying and attacking police officers with a whip at U.S. Capitol. Here's how a Bumble dating app user reeled him in. So apparently Bumble is an app where women are the aggressors. Like, they are the ones who make the contact and they're the ones who are in control of the relationship. And so apparently there was a liberal woman here. I hear what she says. And so this woman, Claire, and I don't know if that's her real name, by the evening before Congress had formally certified President Joe Biden's win in the early morning hours of January 7th, the FBI was seeking information from the public. The Bureau wanted Americans to identify the rioters. And she said, okay, fine, Claire thought, I will. So she went on Bumble. She got rid of all of her liberal type of posts and anything non-MAGA things, she says, right? And then she got hooked up with a guy who ends up telling her that he was at the riot, and she got all kinds of information, catfishing him, pretending to be a QB or something. And then she turned him into the FBI, and now the guy's in jail. So that's happening. Beware of Bumble. Things is getting reals out there. So one of my friends on Facebook sent me this. These are the new Converse, right? And this is these inverted people. I've been using this pentagram for a long time. Converse has a star. Converse are horrible sneakers that I grew up with. Like, they were just going out of style. Then Nike and Reebok came in. And Converse had such a hard bottom. They were bad to play basketball in. They just, they didn't have much give. The classic Chucks, as they call them. And they're very fashionable, but they're not, don't have a lot of bounce. But anyways, these dudes are spinning around inverted. I've been using this pentagram for a long time because it has an adolescent occult association. But I like geometric diagrams like that because in a very primal way, they are a culture grasp for control and a way to organize thoughts and systems, and a pentagram in this day and age with all of its associations. Well, Satanism is what you're talking about, right? I'm not going to read all of this because, you get the idea. And then here's the dude here wearing the Converse. There's the star on it. And so this is Turbo Dork. I guess there's some kind of, I don't know, doing that kind of a thing. And so all this occultic stuff, there's the stars with the pentagram, right? And when you invert that, look at these sneakers, right? How much do those cost? Whatever it is, it's too much. So anyways, there's Converse. Another one of my friends sent me this. Male fertility is declining. Studies show that environmental toxins could be the reason. Is that science or just speculation? And so we know that male sperm counts are down to below where, like, they're just, if they go down any lower, men won't be able to father children. And so sperm counts are declining. This is just the news about it. And if it gets like lower than it is in many cases, there just won't be any men having babies. That's the way to reduce the population. The best way to reduce the population is to get rid of fertility. In the U.S., nearly 1 in 8 couples struggles with fertility. Unfortunately, physicians like me who specialize in reproductive medicine are unable to determine the cause of male infertility around 30 to 50% of the time. Have you looked into Wi-Fi and 5G? Because that's one of the reasons. So this is Beyonce's video. And it starts off with JayZ driving up in his, I guess, what is that, a Rolls Royce? Or Bentley or whatever it is. He's got his feet up here, right? And, and there's just, you think about the hip-hop culture, because people who are wealthy for the most part, and these really wealthy people more than anybody else, want to hide their wealth. There was a great, story about this. Master Charge, the third master of the Heartfulness system, wrote a series of books called Down Memory Lane, where he talked about what it was like to grow up in, old-time India, and just, his mom died when he was a little kid. I mean, he has this, kind of a prolific life. I'm pretty sure it's in this book. He talks about how that wealthy people of that time were kind of embarrassed, right? The people who were wealthy weren't considered like celebrities in a village or whatever. They were kind of looked down on because they had money, could help other people, right? People who were wealthy were hoarding wealth for the most part and were looked down on by the community. They were kind of embarrassed of their wealth. And really rich people, like, you can't even get access. The families, the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, these families, the royal family. I mean, they try to downplay the wealth. The royal family, not so much, because it's part of a show or spectacle. But in terms of most wealthy people, they don't want you. They'll compete with each other. They'll show each other how much more wealthy they are than other wealthy people. But they don't want to show the average people how wealthy they are. But in the hip-hop culture, in this video, there's so much narcissism, and it has to do with, material success, that, so they come in, and they come into this mansion, and they're always like, they're showing off money and mansions and things like that. That's part of the hip-hop culture. And then there's this painting, right? And the painting is of Beyonce and her kids. And so here's Beyonce, and that's a halo in the old-time art. There's angels blessing her. What's that? Is that a Grammy? And then their kids all have halos. And she's showing herself as a saint, and this isn't the first time. Think about a person in their own video pretending to be a saint, right? Like, you think about what Trump got in terms of being narcissistic from the liberal media. But they celebrate Beyonce, and Beyonce is like a good singer. She can sing. But she's not the best singer, and she's certainly not the best dancer, and she's dumb. Like, Britney and Beyonce are dumb. Cardi B is dumb. Cardi B might be acting. I don't know if Beyonce could be acting. Britney's, whatever Britney is, crazy or whatever she is, right? But they're not like high intelligent people. They're not like people that are going to say something brilliant. They're not like going to, say something profound. You wouldn't go to them, to solve some physics problem or math problem or anything like that, right? They're not like great functioning people. I bet most of them, like, I'm talking about singers and dancers, famous singers and dancers. Madonna might be smart, but she's like evil, right? And I don't even know. She's not smart because I've seen her talk. She's not smart either, right? She's stupid. And so, like, they're not, like, what are they good at, right? Madonna's a worst singer of the lot. Madonna's worth almost $1 billion herself, and she's, like, not a good singer. And, I guess she was a professional dancer at some point, like all the rest of these, But there's not much they have to offer. They're certainly not spiritual. They have huge egos, and they're not saints. And so Beyonce showing herself as a saint, like having this picture, paint a picture of me with halos and shit. And then, I mean, it's just like the obnoxious narcissism here, and it's just ignored, like how much people love Beyonce. And then she wakes up here. She has this thing, this eye mask that says mood on it, which is, Mood Forever is the name of the video. She wakes up to somebody playing violin and, like, all these people around her. I mean, like she's some sort of, and she takes off her mask, and that's how she wakes up in the morning with a, diamond, whatever that is, necklace there. And JayZ comes in. He's got these dudes standing there for some reason in tracksuits. And he comes in his, like, he's got his feet up on his, $200,000 car, right? These guys are servants or something, right? So then he makes a chess move as he walks in. He's got his butler and these three guys just standing there, like he's royalty, right? We'll get into the royal part in a moment. Beyonce starts sort of semi-singing, semi-rapping about how great she is and the narcissism in the lyrics. Now, the level of bragging in hip-hop music, especially rap music, is off the charts, as Don Lemons would say, right? Just think about the level of, like, bragging about money and how great you are at your job and what a great rapper you are. I mean, it's just something that, plagues the hip-hop community, the narcissism, the egocentrism, and, it's a part of American culture now. The level of bragging and just, I mean, there's always been sort of an obnoxiousness to American culture and talking smack and saying how great you are. And now it's been taken to a new level. And Beyonce, who's one of the top celebrities, has been for years, right? One of the top singers and, iconic, is still bragging. Like, how much, does your ego need to be fed, right? I talk about that with Madam Expiration Date. Like, she's desperate to be, what she was, which is Beyonce is fading. Like, Britney and Beyonce are fading into Madam Expiration Date land, right? Where they're no longer relevant. Britney is never going to have some sort of great pop song again. I mean, I guess, whatever it is, her heyday is over. Same thing with Beyonce. Their best years are behind them. And Madonna is the example of that, somebody who just can't let it go. Beyonce and JayZ are in front of this picture of Beyonce being a saintly mother. This is going to come back up. I'm going to read you the lyrics. And then it shows them holding hands, right, with their wedding ring. So their marriage is strong. And then she does this. She does the, the JayZ Rockefeller Illuminati eye sign here, right, holding up the pyramid on the back of the capstone of the dollar bill, which we know the amount of Illuminati symbolism. Remember, she had some video where she talked about, the Illuminati stuff and, like, how bogus it was, right? But they keep on throwing up the signs and they keep on doing stuff like this. Then she does this, right? And this guy pulls out a toothbrush. This guy is her butler, right? And then he starts brushing her teeth. And she has diamonds encrusted teeth, right? Like, just the, okay, we get it, you're rich, right? We get it, you're rich. You have more money than the rest of us. That's great. Like, you got diamond encrusted teeth and they're being brushed by another dude.
That's the sound of the price going up.
And then it goes to JayZ after she's getting her teeth brushed. And he says that's the sound of the price going up. Again, just the greed and the arrogance about the money. Like, think about anybody else doing this. Like, anybody who's, celebrity going out there, and I'm not talking about, in the rap community, but in any other sphere of celebrity culture, going out there and bragging and throwing this, opulence in your face, right? Because, people don't want to see that, right? People don't want to hear about how wealthy you are and how great your life is. And it's always a bad idea to do that because the mob will turn on you in a second when when you show how much better off you are than they are. And they're your customer base, and you don't want them, hesitant to give you more money. And it's like it's the only celebrity culture out there that does this on a regular basis. Throws their wealth in your face. Then she starts walking around. This guy's holding up the back of her dress, right? Blue lipstick and this giant hat. And then she comes in and talks about how great she is. And this is right before she gives you the Illuminati sign. Here's the lyrics. You all be so pressed while I'm raising daughters. Sons of empires, you all make me chuckle. Stay in your struggle. Crystal blue water, pina colada in. You stay Ramada in. What's wrong with Ramada in? So she's mocking the rest of you, all of us, and saying how great she is and how we all make her chuckle. She says, stay in your struggle, mocking people who are struggling. And again, like, she has an overwhelming favorability rate. She has very few haters, right? She has mostly fans, and she's got a very positive approval rate, right? So she mocks people, stay in your struggle, and you guys stay in the Ramada Inn. So she's saying she's better than you because of her palace, her big houses and whatever, her money, bragging about her lavish lifestyle, and then mocking you for having to stay in a Ramada, right? What about the Hotel 6 people, right? I am Beyonce, Giselle Knowles Carter. I am Nala, the princess in The Lion King, sister of Naruba, Oshun, queen of Sheba, I am the mother, Ankh on a gold chain, ice on my whole chain, I be like soul food, I am the whole mood. Now, there's a lot here. And then when she's done with that, when she says, I am the whole mood, she does that. That's where she comes to. She says all that stuff, and then she gives you the Illuminati eye with these pretentious glasses. And so to go through some of these things that she says she is, I mean, just saying you're a queen, right, when you're not a queen, and being a royal person, which I've covered in recent videos, is fundamentally the most racist thing. So when you say that you're bloodline, because that's what being royal is, that you have a royal bloodline, and that your family genetically is born to rule other people. You're better genetically. I mean, that's what these bloodlines mean. Any bloodline means that, these bloodlines in Europe with the Queen of England and all these, bloodlines there, and they can only marry within the bloodline because because the genetics of these people in the bloodline is superior, and they're born to rule. They're better and higher than the rest of people based in their genetics, not based in their work, not based in the merit of their success, not based in them doing work for God and being a spiritual person, but having this narcissistic attitude like they're somehow better. Calling yourself a queen is delving into the racism, the worst part of the racist culture, which is bloodlines. And so when Beyonce, who isn't a queen, she grew up in Houston, saying she is a queen and then being against racism is completely untrue, right? Claiming that you're royalty when you're not is wanting to be something that is fundamentally flawed and wrong, right? And racist at its core. being a queen or a king, no one should aspire to because it's bad, because it's based in blood and bloodlines, right? And it's not about democracy. It's not about, I mean, listen to how she's talking about everybody else being Ramada Instay and MNFers, right? And so she drops all this stuff and then gives you the Illuminati hand signal. And so this is the goddess Oshan, and she's comparing herself or saying that she's this goddess. She's done this before. She did a performance on the Grammys where she was pregnant, and she was, saying that she was a goddess. So Beyonce's not only a queen, she's also saying she is a goddess, like a goddess in ancient African, one part of Africa's culture, saying that's who she is, that she's the incarnation of a goddess. Anybody saying that is really narcissistic and kind of crazy, right? People claiming to be an ancient goddess, and this is the performance. She was pregnant, remember? She did this at like the Grammys or MTV or something. And she's claimed to be this goddess before, claims to be a queen. She grew up in Houston. Like she's not from Africa. This is, an African goddess. This is an African goddess of fertility and, some other things. But claiming to be any type of a goddess is narcissistic and kind of messed up, right? Like kind of really messed up. If she said she was the world's greatest singer or the world's greatest dancer or the world's number one celebrity, that would all be bragging and really not true, right? She could say she's the best performer, whatever it is. She could say all those things, and all those things are narcissistic. It's being boastful, it's bragging. But she's gone way beyond that. Like she's calling herself royalty and also the reincarnation of a goddess, right? Like, she's a professional singer and dancer. She's not a saint. She's not a royal person. She's not any of these things. And so that's, like how do you get from being a singer and a dancer to being royalty and a deity, Then here she says, Ankh on my gold chain. And so this is the Ankh, which has Illuminati significance, right? Here it is. This is the god Horus. The eye of the Horus is what's back on the dollar bill, right? And so there's all these things. This is a very, it is an ancient Egyptian symbol. And she wants to get away from this Illuminati stuff, like she said in that one song she had, that she doesn't want this Illuminati talk, but they're the ones who've cultivated it. She just did the Illuminati eye sign. She did the pyramid sign earlier. And then she's talking about wearing an Ankh on her gold chain and the Egyptian Illuminati stuff that goes with it. Here's the eye of Horus with the Ankh. This is the Ankh cross that has a lot of symbology. I did a whole video on this. I forget a lot about it. But you can see that she's, the one cultivating, JayZ and her are cultivating the Illuminati, connection. Whether, whatever that means, they're the ones who want you to make that connection. They are supplying the symbolism and the rest of it, right? And then she calls herself the Queen of Sheba. The Queen of Sheba is referenced in the Bible, giving Solomon some gifts. The Queen of Sheba is a figure first mentioned in the Hebrew Bible, the original story. She brings a caravan of valuable gifts for the Israelite King Solomon. The account has undergone extensive Jewish, Islamic, and Ethiopian elaborations and has become the subject of one of the most widespread and fertile cycles of the legends of the Middle East. We've all heard of the Queen of Sheba. So she says this, I am Beyonce Giselle Knowles Carter. I am Nala, which she played the character in The Lion King, sister of Naruba, Oshan, a goddess, Queen of Sheba. I am the mother, Ankh on my gold chain, ice on my whole chain. I be like soul food. I am the whole mood. I, me, I, me. The level of narcissism here. And I'm just noticing this, I'm, in the editing process. And she said, I am the mother, not I am a mother. She's the mother, right? The mother, right? The mother goddess. She's all mothers, right? She's the mother of everything. I mean, that's, the grandiosity here for somebody who's, a mediocre singer and dancer. I mean, she doesn't have much of a skill set other than that. Like, she's claiming divinity. And then she drops this, right? And so, think about what's being said. Think about the bragging here and the narcissism and just all of it and how this is accepted. Like, she gets to say this, no cancel culture. Anybody saying these things outside of like the hip hop culture would be, canceled. Be like, wait, you're saying you're a queen, a goddess, a saint, and you're saying the rest of us stay at Ramada Inns? And, and her fans will just eat this stuff up, right? Because they think she's an actual queen and goddess. And then they have these kids holding these Illuminati, the pyramid hand signal up here. And then they all dive into the pool and they leave Beyonce, they're all holding up the pyramid. Then she's in the pool. She's got all these, that synchronized swimming crap, like dancer, basically all around her. I mean, it's just this thing that happens here. They're all dancing around her, swim dancing around her. And then just all these people here worshiping and serving Beyonce, right? Like, she's the central figure. Like, all these people are, are looking up to her there and, just happy to be in her presence, the saint, the goddess, the queen, and you're staying in a Ramada Inn. So I recently did sort of an update video on Madam Expiration Date, Madonna, and she was talking about Madam X, right? Madam Expiration, and how Madam X was like a saint and a sinner and a nun, and a whore and a flamingo dancer and a secret agent, all these things, right? Which is MK Ultra kind of stuff. We saw this with Beyonce, who said that she had an alternate personality named Sasha Fierce, who's the one that performs, and she's a shy person in her everyday life, and Sasha Fierce comes up. So there's all that kind of stuff, right? And the grandiosity of the celebrity culture. But one thing to know is that, everybody has a gift. Everyone has something to offer. I mean, that's one of the teachings in Whispers of the Brighter World and the Heartfulness System. And one of the things to remember is the gifts come from God, right? They come from the divine. They come from your soul. The gifts you have on the material plane come from divinity. And they're not your gifts, right? The gift comes from God, but it's for other people on the planet, and it comes through you, right? They're not your gifts. They're gifts that you can cultivate to give to others, right? So I'm very aware of this because I was such a low-functioning person. Like, I had some different talents that I had in terms of, on my own, things that I had, through whatever I brought in. I mean, some of those things you would consider also gifts from God, right? Talents and things. But on my own, I was low functioning, underachieving, and I couldn't cultivate those gifts. I mean, I couldn't do anything with them. And so once I started the Heartfulness System, those gifts were maximized, and through the purity of the system, the cleaning part of the system and the transmission that's given, I was able to make something into those gifts, into myself, to be able to give to other people here. But I'm very consciously aware of what I was able to not do on my own and what I was able to do once I had an internalized relationship with God, right? That I was able to cultivate these gifts with the use of the Heartfulness System, helping to connect me to my soul and God and find my, true purpose in all these things. And so there's a humbling, a natural humbling that I'm blessed with because of that. Where I could get like braggadocious, I did this, I did that, right? And I, Inside, I never do that. Like, whatever I might say outside, in a joking way. Inside, I'm consciously aware of my limitations without God in my life, without an internalized relationship with the divine and the heartfulness system to help cultivate that relationship. And the thing about real great people, because Beyonce isn't a great person. She is a brand, like so many of these other celebrities, who has been sold to the American people based in some talents and gifts that have been hyped up and cultivated and turned into some archetype that the fans bow before. Because people have this natural compulsion to bow before idols, to bow before so-called great people, right? Who, are usurping the position of God. I talk about that in my book, The Choice, The Great Usurpers, people who usurp the position of divinity, and people who don't give credit where credit is due, and they think their gifts are from them, that the gifts that they have, the talents they have. And, these singers, you think about all these singers, the American Idol, right, the idea of idol worship, most of them are horrible people, stupid. They don't have very much to offer other than their ability to sing and their ability to dance and whatever charisma and things that they possess to con the people that are listening into them to think that they're great and they have, been elevated in some way. And when people reach a high level of divinity, that they become saints, one of the great teachings of the heartfulness system is that saints aren't here to enjoy. They're here to be enjoyed by others. That the saints don't come down to live an enjoyable life. That their presence on this planet is enjoyed by other people. They're here to inspire other people and lift people up. Something I'm aware of from the masters of the heartfulness system, that everyone that they meet, they have to, go down to that person's level and elevate them, help pull them up to a higher level of existence. And it's, something that would be considered a sacrifice, but, it helps them become, it helps the master, the saint, become what they're supposed to become, right? Having people, disciples and people that come to them for spiritual training helps the saint or the master evolve and become what they're meant to become. So, it's a mutually beneficial relationship, but they have to dive down and, they get affected in a negative way by the other person's spiritual approach, where they are in relationship to God and their grossness, their spiritual condition, which the saint has to clean out. And one of the benefits for people who are trainers in the heartfulness system, that's why when you go to a trainer in the heartfulness system and you go over to their house and they give you a sitting and you thank them, or they give you a sitting on, long distance sitting or something, people want to thank them, and you should be grateful for it, but they retain 20% of the transmission. So there's this divine energy that flows through the trainers and the master of the heartfulness system. And Master Charji said even the best preceptor, the best trainer, still retains 20% of the transmission they're, giving to other people in a sitting. So this energy flows through them and into the other person, and some of it stays behind. And he said, where else do you get a 20% commission? Because Master Charji was a salesman. He came up as a salesman, and then he became an executive, but he understood commissions, right? Which everybody does. And so, those are the benefits for higher developed souls, or people who are, working for God, that when they serve God, that they get a blessing themselves, right? They receive some of the grace that God bestows on the people through them. And so that's, one of the advantages. But it's something that you do for God. These gifts come from God, and they're for other people on the planet, right? They're not your gifts. You can't get arrogant about them, right? They can be taken away. Certainly most gifts are. If you're a singer and a dancer, you're going to end up being worse and worse as you get older, right? If you're an athlete, most, anything that you do, when you start getting older and your body starts to deteriorate, you're not going to have the same level of physical gifts. And even in terms of, your mind and your intelligence, your, mind doesn't work as well. Then you become a wise person. But the only gifts that you really have to give when you're older is you're cultivating a relationship with God, especially in your later years when you pass 40, and then you have more divinity to give and wisdom to give to your children and grandchildren and the youth that are, in your country or village or whatever it may be. And so at some point, divinity is what you have to give, wisdom and divinity and, higher developed consciousness as you, move into the death process. Those are the true gifts that you can pass on to the younger generation, but mostly people look at the older generation and saying, all right, what kind of money can you give me? Like, what are you going to leave me? What can you pass on to me monetarily? And so in America, in the Western culture, older people have all this accumulated wealth, and that's what the younger people want from them, and that's all. They don't want to be advised. They don't want to, they don't want to respect the older generation. They don't want to learn from them. They don't have anything to offer. They don't respect their parents and grandparents. They just said, hook me up, right? Give me some resources. Give me some monetary or whatever kind of resources. And that's a sad state of affairs, right? And so this, horrific video by Beyonce, and, she's so clueless. She always looks like a deer in headlights. I mean, her eyes look like they have a lot of fear and confusion. And she's just, reading, singing other people's, rapping other people's words and concepts. And she's totally managed and handled, right? But the message they're sending out there about wealth and arrogance and, saying that people who stay in a Ramada Inn are somehow less than somebody like Beyonce, right? That it's, your money that makes you better than somebody else. These nouveau riche MNFers, right? And people just don't value intelligence. They don't value certainly spirituality and somebody that's accomplished something in the spiritual field and wisdom and, practical skills, life skills. Things that make you into somebody. When you have lots of different types of life skills, homesteading skills and agrarian skills, the things that people used to have, that's looked down as being somebody low, right? A farmer is a low person, right? Working in the dirt and all these things. So people don't value things that are actually valuable. And they value superficial celebrity BS, right? All this hyped up manufactured branding of people that aren't really anything. Like Beyonce isn't great. Britney isn't great, right? Any of these guys, any of these celebrities. They have a skill. They have a gift. And that gift is, valuable. It can help people or it can, have people enjoy the gift or whatever it is, right? But it's just that. It's a simple gift. And, it isn't the person themselves, right? Like I want to make a separate longer video and talk about how, I make videos like what I do here. And information and energy passes through me, but that isn't me, right? It is, what I do. Like it's what God has made me into as in terms of, service and things like this. People think I'm better or more than I am because of, the quality of the videos I create here and the, the information and knowledge and whatever's in them, the energy. But that's, they overestimate me as a person, right? I'm not being like falsely humble. I see it all the time. Like people, there's all the people you have, haters or people who are jealous of you or, they don't get it or whatever it is. There's all those people. But then there's people who build you up to, put you on a pedestal that's not deserved, right? I do a job here and I think I do it well. I think I produce quality content, but that's all that it is, right? In terms of, who I am as a person and, my elevation as a soul, oftentimes people give me more credit than I, actually deserve, which isn't good for anybody, right? Like it just isn't because, the truth of the thing is what's important. And, valuing something, like I say, be grateful for the videos. I think that these videos are, they have value and people should be grateful for them. And I guess to some extent to be grateful for me for, doing this work. Sure. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Welcome, all those kind of things, right? But in terms of like, thinking that I'm some sort of a saint or whatever, people, saying I should be president. I get all these types of things, right? Just, I don't have those types of skills, right? I'm not a administrator. I'm not a leader. I'm not any of these things. I have God-given gifts that through the heartfulness system have been cultivated to present this information, disseminate this information, as a purpose, right? And, I do it, I think, on a high level, and I'm getting better at it. I think that my videos have increasingly got better over the years, and so that's good. But in terms of, attributing other characteristics or qualities or thinking of me in a different, a higher sphere, right? Because of that, because of seeing me, do my job well, right? Like that's just all it is, right? It's me performing the task that God has given to me, and that's all that it is, right? That's the simple essence of the thing, right? It's not anything more or less than that. Only spirituality will save this world. It's Paul Romano, definitely reporting from the Apocalypse and the Ascension. Everyone have a blessed day and be grateful.